hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I'm going to show you how I made this adorable conversation hearts Valentine's Day tier tray using all supplies from the Dollar Tree. And here is a sneak peek of those conversation hearts tier tray that we made today. I just needed one more Valentine's Day tier tray for my house to make it complete. So to start with, I'm going to use these little wood stake conversation hearts from the Dollar Tree. So easy. Just pop the little sticks off the back. They come off so easy. The only thing I didn't like about these little conversation hearts was that, yes, they're covered in glitter. So I'm just trying to wipe off like the glitter that's like stuck to the face of them. I really like the pink and the blue. I think they're perfect. And I like the red writing on there. I just not sure about all of that glitter. So I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. And then to seal that glitter down and to keep it from going everywhere, I'm going to seal the whole sign with just some of this matte Mod Podge from the Dollar Tree. Kind of going over the letters. The only problem with that is that you get glitter all over your brush. So you might want to do like the heart part first if you want to seal yours. Otherwise, you can leave these all glittery if that is your thing. So just kind of getting a good coverage all over, and then I'm going to go in and do it with the other one. These are pretty large, so my plan is to use these on the top of the tier tray, like back to back. There's a pole in the middle of my tier tray. But first, I want to try to paint those little letters. So I'm going to use some crimson chalk paint by Waverly and just a tiny brush. And I'm just going to go over all of the existing text and try to, as cleanly as I can, just paint over that. And then it kind of makes it look like they're just painted signs and not glittery signs. And I kind of like the feel of that a little bit better. So just painting those. And again, this step's totally optional. It's just maybe an extra. But what I plan to do is just put some double stick tape on the back of these and kind of put them back to back and kind of lay them on their sides on the top of my tier tray to bring in a big giant like conversation hearts to the tier tray. I want everything to be like conversation hearts themed. That really reminds me of Valentine's Day. And this tier tray is going to go on my kitchen table. So I think this would be a really fun theme for that. So just using those little foam tape pieces from the Dollar Tree and just kind of figuring out where they need to be to make it like lay like on its side. And super easy. I'm just going to go and attach these to the top of my tier tray. Just like that. Okay, up next, I wanted to make a garland to go around the outside of my second tier on my tier tray. So I'm going to use these little chalkboard hearts from the Dollar Tree. I need 8. So I'm going to use 2 packages of 4. And I'm just going to use the backside, the raw wood. And I'm going to paint these like all pastel colors. So like I found like this soft pink color. And just painting those with a little makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree. And what I want to do is make little conversation hearts to go all around the second tier, kind of hanging like a garland. So this one I'm going to do like in this soft blue color. And I will post below the names of all of these colors that I used today. I found a soft yellow. So we're going to do 2 pink, 2 blue, 2 yellow, and then 2 like of a soft green. And just whatever I could find. And I go over all of these with 1 coat. They had pretty decent coverage. I do go in here though and do a second coat on all of them just to make sure that I had a nice solid coat on each one. So that's what they look like. I'm just going to kind of alternate them, different colors, and I'm going to make them into little conversation hearts. To do that, I cut out some red vinyl on my Cricut. I can share my Cricut file if you want it below. And I just did like common conversation heart sayings on here. The only problem I had is when you're working with like the tiny letters on the Cricut vinyl, it can be really hard to weed. So I did struggle with this. This is probably the last time I used my Cricut today. But just trying to make sure that all the letters stay down and don't get destroyed in the process. I did have to like recut one of them. But just weeding those out and going to attach one to each of the little hearts. I used like a typewriter font because that kind of reminded me of the stamped typewriter print on the classic conversation hearts. And honestly, I got some conversation hearts for this project and mine look way better. They don't do a very good job stamping those things. They must make a million of them at a time, right? So I'm just using paper, transfer paper that I get on Amazon, and I'm going to do each one of these little sayings for our conversation hearts. I did a different one for each one just for fun. And this is going to be a really easy DIY, and I really added a lot of charm to my tier tray. I really like that it's kind of on the outside of the tier tray. So we're just going to go ahead and start putting all of these little words on. And this part was the easy part. The weeding, not so easy. And I didn't even use Dollar Tree vinyl. I don't know why I had such trouble. Maybe it was just the size was too small. I even tried to reverse weed on one of them, thinking maybe that was a secret. That's the one I had to recut because I thought it worked, but then it totally didn't. So just getting all 8 of those on there. I don't really care which one goes on which. It's just going to be kind of random, just like conversation hearts. I wasn't sure about doing one more Valentine's Day tier tray so late, but I really wanted to do one, and I had enough stuff to make this, so I thought, hey, why not? So I'm going to use the existing twine that came with each one of those little chalkboard hearts and just tie those all off. That way I can tie these to my garland that's going to go around easily, and they'll hang straight and flat like they should. So just reattaching all of those. Now my first plan was to use that pink pom-pom garland that I found at Dollar Tree. And my plan was to put like a little conversation heart ever so often. I'm kind of measuring to kind of see. And if you have this, you totally can use this. It would be totally cute. But I do get a couple on there and I'm like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do. And so I do switch it to something else. Spoiler. So I'm just counting and pondering. And I try it and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to kind of cover my hearts a little bit. So I decided to change up to some wood bead garland from the Dollar Tree. This is that wood bead garland I found this fall at the Dollar Tree one time ever. But you can use whatever you've got. Or if you have wood beads from Amazon, you could totally make your own. Or the pom-pom garland would be cute, I'm sure. So when I measured my 2-tier tray, it was going to be about 10 wood beads between each one. Is going to kind of make this the perfect length. So I'm just counting every 10 and tying off a heart with a double knot and just alternating the colors like pink, blue, yellow, green. And I have a little bit of extra beads left over when I get to the end, but I just take those off and I basically tie this together like in a circle. And then I use some of that double stick tape from the Dollar Tree behind each heart on the outside of my tier tray to hang that so they will not fall. Okay, the next one is going to be a conversation hearts candle. So I'm going to use one of these just vanilla white candles from the Dollar Tree, one of these adorable pink little heart candle holders from the Valentine's Day section at the Dollar Tree, and conversation hearts. I had a hard time finding these. I ended up finding an 8-pack of the little boxes from Target, and so that's what we're going to go with. My plan is to make like a candle that has conversation hearts all over it. So I'm trying to decide what's going to be the best way to do this. My first attempt is I go in with my heat gun and I like slowly melt the side of my candle and then attach it on there. Theoretically, that could work. You probably are going to have to melt your candle a lot though. Like this works really well to add pictures and stuff like that. But like these hearts are like stick out a lot, you know, and they have a little bit of weight to them. So I start doing it that way and then they start kind of falling off on me. And so I do switch up and start just doing hot glue. And the hot glue gun was like really melting my candle. So that worked well. And I'm just going to alternate just kind of in a fun pattern all over, just alternating colors. And I don't go all the way around, but you totally could. I just kind of went on the outside of the candle where I think you're going to be able to see it the most. And just putting conversation hearts all over this. I'm going to use these conversation hearts a lot today to craft with instead of actually trying to make little conversation hearts. Just a total time saver. And they're kind of a hard candy, so I don't think that they're going to attract any bugs or do anything gross by sitting on my tier tray. So I am just finishing that up. I'm trying to get enough coverage where you can't really see the sides. And then basically all I'm going to do is display it on that little pink heart candle holder from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to be ready to go. I do decide to put a couple more on the top as well. And now we're ready for our next DIY. I want to make like a candy heart like love sign. And so I'm going to use just a Halloween sign I have, some pink cricut vinyl from the Dollar Tree, and a wood love sign. Basically, the front was just paper, cardboard, so I just ripped it off. So I would have a clean surface with no like glitter or bumps or anything coming through. And I am just going to cover it with some of this pink vinyl. I like to use this for DIYs way more than I like to use it with my Cricut. So I cut off the piece a little larger than it should be, and just putting the flat even side there on the top, and I just use a sanding block to go all the way around and give me a nice clean cut. And this is just a fun way to do an easy sign, and it looks really finished kind of with that glossy coating, but you could totally paint this. So just making sure it is good and attached, and then I want to work on the love word for the top. So this is just like a craft kit. It comes with like all different kinds of stuff that I'm not really going to use. I just want the word love. And my plan is to paint that red, kind of like the red writing on a conversation heart. And so I'm going to use some of this chalk paint by Waverly in the color of crimson, a makeup sponge, and I'm going to go all over and really simply just paint the word love. And I think this is going to be about the right size that I need for my tier tray. And it's going to kind of give me that conversation heart feeling with the red word on the pastel background. So we're just going to attach that to the front of our sign with some hot glue. Then I thought it needed something. And so conversation hearts, that's what it needs. So I'm just going to use hot glue, and I am just going to put conversation hearts down the side of each side of this love sign, and I think that gives it the little final touch that it needs. I thought about just doing 4 corners like this, but then I go in and I add a couple more to the sides just to fill in any of that empty space, just kind of alternating colors. And I was really happy with the sign. It was so easy, and yet it turned out really cute. I'm doing my 3-tier tray today, so there are going to be a lot of DIYs because it's going to take a lot of stuff to fill this one up. This was the one that I had in my cabin theme left over from winter, and I've just had it for a long time, and I really wanted to switch it up for Valentine's Day. Okay, these are the little Valentine's Day books they have at the Dollar Tree, and I'm not going to paint these today. I've had a little trouble painting these on my previous DIYs. I'm just going to kind of leave it. It's cute. Be mine forever. I just kind of want to give it a little bit more my style. So I just took off the ribbon, and I'm going to use some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to split it in half to make it thinner, and I'm just going to use that to make it look like the books are wrapped together. Just attaching with some hot glue on the bottom. And I'm not going to do a lot to this book set. It's pretty cute. The colors are pastel. I think it's going to work. The only thing I want to do is I want to bring in that candy hearts theme. So we're going to just use hot glue and attach little candy hearts just to the front of the burlap there. Just kind of like spilling out. Trying to incorporate as many candy hearts as I can for the theme today. And I do decide to go ahead and put a few on the top as well. First, I'm going to glue it down because it wasn't like super tight and flat. And then just going to attach a few more of those conversation hearts to the top of that. Now for the top of the book, I thought it was a little plain with all of just the white wood book. So I do decide to decorate that a little bit. They have these like great laser cut hearts at the Dollar Tree, like in their regular like craft section. And I just picked out 2 different ones. And I'm just going to leave them the wood color and attach those with hot glue. Just to give me another little Valentine's Day touch to these little stacked books. And easy peasy, that one's ready to go. Okay, this is a little wood heart from the craft section at the Dollar Tree. Not necessarily the Valentine's Day section, and I thought I would just make it into a conversation heart. So I'm going to paint it with that soft yellow color, and I'm just going to go all over. It does kind of have a border. I couldn't really find any more of like the chunkier hearts from the Dollar Tree that they had, but that would be perfect. So just going all over. I go over the front and the sides once, and then I do go over just the main front panel just a little bit more to make sure I have good coverage. And basically, I'm just going to make this into a conversation heart. I was kind of mad at my Cricut vinyl, so I decided to go in and hand paint it. I go in with a marker, and you could totally leave it like that because that kind of looks like already done, right? But I do go in and thicken it up a little bit after I use my marker, which is my red paint pen. And paint on an XOXO. Just super easy. And you can say whatever you want on your conversation heart. Then I kind of wanted to make the little conversation heart stand up. And so I am just going to attach a little wood block that I have. That's a Jenga block from Five Below last year. And I'm almost out of those. I use them all the time. I hope they bring those back this year. Those are great. And there we go. Easy peasy little conversation heart sign. Up next is a love sign. I got this at the craft section at the Dollar Tree as well, in the regular craft section. I'm going to leave the bottom of the sign natural wood. So I'm just going to tape that off with a little bit of painter's tape. And then I'm going to use the soft blue color and a makeup sponge and just very carefully paint the front of the letters so I don't have to get in and paint all around all the different edges with this soft blue color. So I'm trying to use those colors that we use like on that Garland banner, the pinks, the yellows, the blues, the greens, and kind of alternate those in our DIYs today so they'll all kind of have the same feel. And then to make it taller, I'm going to use another one of those wood blocks. And I'm just going to attach that to make it stand up enough that you can see it in my tier tray. But you know what it needs, conversation hearts. So I'm just going to do like 3 and just kind of scatter those around and attach those with hot glue, just to give this project a little bit of a conversation heart vibe as well. And this turned out really super sweet, and it was so easy to put together. So cute. Okay, our next DIY was this. Now, it's the right size for a tier tray, but I did struggle with this. It was just way too glitzy and glittery. It's like a little heart plant or whatever. So I'm like, what can I do with this? So I decided I'm going to recover it with something else. So I'm going to use one of these galvanized metal hearts from the Dollar Tree, and then some of these little canvas treat bags from the Dollar Tree. It's got a nice kind of pastel pink heart on there. So I'm just cutting the fabric off the front of that bag so that I can cover that metal heart with that. I thought the metal was going to be too cold, and I didn't really want to paint it. So to attach that to our metal heart, I'm just going to use some Mod Podge. A nice thick coat of Mod Podge, and then I'm going to sit that canvas on top of it and let that dry. Then I'm going to cut around the edges of my heart to give me the nice heart shape. And I plan to attach that to the front of that like foily heart to kind of disguise like all the glitz and glamour that's going on with that. It's pretty if that was the vibe, but that's not really the vibe of this tier tray. So we're going to try to recreate it. I don't really like the pot either, so I'm going to use some of this pink velvet ribbon that I got at the Dollar Tree in the Valentine's Day section and try to recover it. It was a little hard because, you know, it is like kind of graduated, and so I have to kind of really work with it to get it to work here. So I'm just going to hot glue that together on the back, and then I probably should have cut it, but I just go ahead and glue the extra pieces to the bottom of the pot. The problem I had with this is that this is like really lightweight, and it wanted to kind of fall over on me, especially after I made the bottom like kind of uneven with the velvet. And so what I do to fix that is I use a wood sticker from the Dollar Tree. This is a lemon, but it was a circle and it was the perfect size. And I'm just going to hot glue that to the bottom just to give a tiny bit of weight to the bottom of this so that it won't fall over on me. That kind of worked. I'm going to leave the little white foam strip. It's got a little glitter on it, but it's not too crazy. Then I wanted to do a little conversation heart saying on the front. So I'm just going to use a red Sharpie and just kind of freehand that on. Would probably look better if I would have used my Cricut, but I was kind of over it. And if you know a secret to successfully weed really tiny print on Cricut vinyl, I would love to hear it. Post below. So I'm going to attach that to the front. The only problem I had then is that it was really heavy on the front and wasn't balanced. So I do put another one of the galvanized hearts on the back to kind of even out the weight so that it's not top heavy and doesn't want to fall over on me. Now you can still see like all the glitzy foam and stuff there on the sides, and I do end up covering that. And I just want to like maybe put some conversation hearts in the pot. So I'm going to use the back of that canvas bag and just cut out 2 little strips. I'm just going to use hot glue to attach those on the sides of our heart, just to kind of give that more of a finished feel and take away all of that glitz and glamour. I wasn't super happy with how this DIY turned out, but it turned out okay. Sometimes you need one more piece to fill a spot, and you kind of have to work with what you have. So then I'm just going to attach the little conversation hearts with hot glue and re-glue on my little heart. And it's ready to go. The next DIY, I want to make a little heart pillow using this baby blanket that I got at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to just spread it out like 2 layers thick to cut out a heart shape so we can make a really easy no-sew pillow for the tier tray. And I'm just using this wood heart that I have just as a template so I know how to cut it. So I'm just going to go around that with a Sharpie. Then I'm going to go in with my fabric scissors and cut on the inside of that line so you can't see it. And this is great to work with, these little fleece blankets from the Dollar Tree, because they're not going to fray on you or anything like that. So you can just cut it out and go. I want to make this no-sew, so I'm just going to use hot glue to make this little pillow. So we got our little heart shape cut out, both layers. And I'm just going to do like one side here at a time. Just go around the edges and attach that with hot glue. Then I'm going to do the other side, but purposely leaving a window that I can put stuffing in there. I like to reuse like my old pillows to get some poly fluff. And we're not going to like fill this like real fat, but just kind of enough to give it a little bit of a volume. And I love using like little pillows for tier trays. I think it brings in another little texture and vibe. And I think this pattern, it reminds me kind of a conversation hearts. And I like the colors as well. So I got that all stuffed and just hot gluing the rest of it. And basically that's all there's going to be for this little heart DIY. I thought about doing like a little border around the sides, and you totally could, but I think it's just fine as it is. And it's ready to go. Okay, these are bath bombs from the Valentine's Day section at the Dollar Tree, and I thought they'd be perfect to craft with. Little XO, and they're pink. So you kind of have to be careful with them though, because they are made out of like bath bomb material, so they're not real stable. But I'm just going to attach it to another one of those little wood blocks with some hot glue so that it can stand up over the sides of my tier tray, that you can read it and kind of put it together like as one piece. And this was so easy. I do want to decorate it a little bit with conversation hearts. So I just kind of use some hot glue and scatter a couple different colors across the front of my wood block. And there we go. We have another piece for our tier tray. The next DIY I want to do is a jar of candy hearts. So I'm going to use one of these wood jars from the Dollar Tree. This is one that I got at Christmas, but I think they kind of do these for every holiday. And I'm just going to use my heat gun to remove that tag on the back, because that is what we're going to be working with today. And the other side's got all this glitter and design on there. And so to cover that up, I'm just going to use some like really cheap contact paper from the Dollar Tree, because I don't want you to be able to see that on the back of it, because a tier tray, you know, sometimes you can see the back of the signs. So I'm just kind of going over the body of the jar, and this stuff is so thin, it's like so easy to like sand off the excess vinyl, and that's going to give me kind of more of a finished back for our project. So I'm going to use this soft green color, this chalk paint, and we're going to go all over this little jar. And my plan is like a jar of like candy hearts, right? Kind of like with more like of a Ray Dunn feel. So I do a couple coats of that soft green to get good coverage over that brown background. And I love these little wood jars. I think they're so cute and so easy to remake into whatever you want. So once I get the 2 coats on there and I get them both dry, I'm just going to go in with my pink Sharpie paint marker, and I'm going to just freehand candy hearts in kind of like a Ray Dunn font. It's pretty easy to freehand. Then, of course, what do we need? We need candy hearts. So I'm just going to glue candy hearts to the front of this sign to kind of like scatter them around and make it kind of look like there's candy hearts like in the jar. I thought that would be a fun idea. So I'm just going to kind of go along the bottom and kind of alternate colors and fill that in, and also a couple on the side. Now they had twine on the top of their little jar, and so I'm going to go in with some Dollar Tree twine and kind of do the same thing, just wrapping that around the top of the jar and then tying that off. Once I get it on there though, I decide that I do want to paint the top of that jar, so I probably should have done that first. To decorate the little twine there at the top, I'm also just going to put a little wood heart from the Dollar Tree and just kind of glue that on. And this is when I decided that I really wanted my jar lid to be a different color. So I'm going to actually go in with some silver acrylic and just kind of work around what I just did to kind of make the lid look kind of metallic and kind of like a different color than the rest of the jar. And it worked. And there we have our next DIY. It's a little jar of candy hearts. And I really love that Rae Dunn font on there. I think that looks really cute. There it is. Okay, up next is going to be a Conversation Hearts gnome. I love gnomes, especially for tier trays. So I'm going to use a pink sock from the Dollar Tree, one of these fuzzy ones, and like a heart Valentine's, well, it's not really Valentine's, but a heart burp rag from the baby section of the Dollar Tree, some polyfill, these are like the bath soak rocks. I'm going to use that to weigh down the bottom of my sock so that my gnome doesn't tip over. And then I'm going to just use some polyfill from an old pillow to kind of make the size I want, kind of using that ornament that I have left over from Christmas as a reference, but I'm also going to steal his beard and his nose. I'm going to cinch off the top of my sock with just a zip tie and then cut off the excess sock. We have the body of our gnome. Now, I love this burp cloth. It's a great texture of fabric. And so I'm going to kind of double it up and make a little gnome hat for our gnome. I'm just going to kind of cut like that triangular shape of the hat, kind of like the other little gnome there has. And then just like that pillow we made out of that baby blanket, I'm just going to use hot glue for the seams. So that's no sew. And if you don't have one of these little ornaments to steal the beard off of, it's so easy to make the beards with like those little microfiber mop heads from the Dollar Tree. And the other mop heads work as well. There's lots of different options. But I had this little guy available, so I thought it would be an easy swap to take his beard and nose. And if I don't have that available, I like to use like the wood beads for the nose as well. So I made it a little long, so I'm just shortening our hat a little bit. Then I'm going to just use some more polyfill just to make the little gnome hat stand up. And I love making gnomes. I think they're so much fun. I haven't made one in a while. So I'm trying to leave a little bit of room there to go on the top of that sock so it's not too overstuffed. The only hard part is kind of getting it down into the tip there. I am going to cut off the very tippy top, and then I'm just going to use a pink pom-pom from that pink pom-pom garland for the end of our little gnome sign, just to bring in a little splash of pink. And then we're going to start taking this guy apart. I start with hot glue because, you know, that should work because it's hot glued on there. But that fabric they use from the Dollar Tree like melts like crazy. So I do kind of end up just cutting it off. This little gnome had arms too. And I did think about like reusing those on this gnome, but I decided not to. So I'm just going to steal his little pom-pom nose and his little beard. So I'm just cutting off the existing fabric, that dark fabric, and the arms from this little gnome. And we're going to just take that and put it on our gnome. Easy peasy. I'm glad that I have some of those extra gnomes left over from Christmas. So just going to attach that with hot glue to the front of our sock. It's the perfect length. And then I'm going to attach the little pom-pom nose as well. I love that the Dollar Tree is carrying so many different kinds of gnome products. It makes it so much easier to make a gnome. And then I'm going to put the little hat on. It's not made out of a sock, so it doesn't have like the stretchiness. So you kind of have to be careful when you're attaching it here on the front with hot glue that you don't burn yourself. But basically I'm trying to like overlap the beard so it looks like the hat is covering the gnome nose, and then overlap the little nose as well a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing here in the back. I'm just going to attach that to our sock with hot glue. It's going to make our little gnome hat stand up. Then I kind of wanted, you know, the little, I don't know what that's called, the brim part of the hat. So I'm just going to use the top of that existing sock and just cut off a little strip and put that on there. And that worked really well because that was nice and stretchy. And I'm just using a little hot glue to attach it on the sides of the little gnome nose. I think he turned out so cute. I do think he needs one more touch though. But so once I get them all done, I decide to go in and decorate his little hat with, of course, a little conversation heart. Isn't he sweet? I love that pink fuzzy material and the little heart hat. Okay, now I need filler. So I'm going to use some of these baby shower foam beads, I guess. And I'm just going to sort them out because I don't want the silver. I just want the pink. And the top tray where it's going to have the conversation hearts, going to have a lot of empty space. So I thought I would fill it in with these little pink beads because they kind of look like candy. And I can kind of mix that in with conversation hearts. And so I'm going to open up all the rest of my conversation hearts as well. And are you ready to build a tier tray? Thank you so much for watching today. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment your favorite DIY below. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you. Here we go.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? try. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know